depth. They're popping up throughout America, a new form of public transit, those little e-scooters that have enabled people to get around town, no matter how big the city, from point A to point B. Some environmentalists have given a big thumbs up to the rechargeable scooters. Students on some college campuses love them, but some safety analysts say they can pose a danger if not used properly and not regulated. Joining me tonight is former Evansville City Council member Michelle Mercer. She championed and pushed an ordinance through that was passed just last month before the previous council had adjourned. And Michelle, thanks for joining us tonight. This ordinance has so many dynamics, but here are three of the big highlights, as you know. People will have to be at least 16 years old and have an ID to prove so. Don't need a driver's license.
Correct.
They'll not be required to wear helmets, and cell phone usage will be allowed.
Correct.
Okay. And very important, they are prohibited to be used where? On greenways?
On greenways or any trails that are specifically for walking and bicyclists.
And that, of course, includes sidewalks.
Yes,
right.
Correct.
With that said, the safety issue. You've been in the medical profession, and we've been sharing statistics.
Yes.
Tell me about your concern as far as safety is concerned.
Well, one concern would be that that people not have earbuds in their ears when operating an e-scooter. They will be required to obey all traffic laws on city streets. They need to be able to hear traffic around them. They need to be able to hear emergency vehicles. So we would encourage, not using a cell phone while driving an e-scooter and not using both earbuds, just like in a vehicle.
Right, but the way this is set up right now, let's say if an officer sees somebody tooling down the road on an e-scooter with a cell phone up to his or her ear, you just got to let them ride on.
Correct. He can't do anything about it. That I did propose a safety amendment that did not pass. Cell phone use is not prohibited, and use of two earbuds is not prohibited with these scooters.
What concerns you about this as far as the number, the way this is growing? You had a very interesting number you shared with me about the number of rides already in Evansville.
Yes, the e-scooter rental company, their data shows that they've had 1,000 rides in a 2-month period. So it is, and we expect it to grow even more in popularity by spring. So that is a significant number, 1,000 rides in 2 months.
And these scooters have to have proper lighting?
Yes, the way the ordinance is written, there has to be a headlight in the front of the e-scooter and in the back of the e-scooter, and it has to be visible for 500 feet.
Okay, so that'd be a little bit more powerful than, say, a bicycle headlight then.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and one thing that strikes me, the technology involved in this is that you can find these all over town. There are currently 50 in the fleet here in Evansville.
Yes.
In other cities, they're sprinkled all over the place. You can just literally drop one down. Tell me about when you drop one of these off, you're not dropping them off necessarily at a bike rack like bicycles are handled. You can just plop it down right there at the edge of a sidewalk, correct?
Well, yes, the way the ordinance that passed is written, they will they can't just leave it in the middle of the sidewalk. They have to park it parallel to the street and approximately 48 inches from the curb.
And
they cannot block businesses, they cannot block handicap accessibility, and they cannot block parking spaces.
Okay, but say like if I saw a scooter in downtown Evansville on Main Street about a month ago, and it was at night, not far from the Victory Theater, and it was just laying there on the sidewalk. So you can be cited, but how does that work?
Well, the police have the authority, the way the ordinance passed, the police have the authority to issue citations. Just like you get a parking ticket and pay it at the city clerk's office, the police can issue fines and citations. There is also a 1-800 number that, the way the ordinance is written, Any e-scooter rental company must provide a 1-800 number that's accessible 24/7, so that if there are issues of concern, they can call the e-scooter company and ask that those be removed, or they can call the police.
And you're leaving your fingerprints on that scooter if you just drop it like in the middle of a sidewalk or out too far in the road based on the credit card information you're giving out?
I believe that they are, the way it's set up is they will be asked to take a picture of where they parked the e-scooter and submit that to the e-scooter rental company.
And what's amazing about this, you really got interested in this in the early going last year, because this one company just popped up. They had every legal right to do so, and suddenly we had e-scooters in Evansville.
Yes, the state legislature passed legislation that says cities may not prohibit e-scooters, but that they may regulate them. So when this e-scooter company put e-scooters on the streets of Evansville, there was absolutely no legislation in place whatsoever. They did not have to get permission from anyone. There were no regulations. So as the result of this legislation passing, there will now be some regulations.
Do you see this growing tremendously during the next few years?
I do, and there have been inquiries, I'm told, of other companies that may be interested in putting more e-scooter rentals, and I do think it will grow in popularity. The one positive thing about it is it promotes connectivity and accessibility in our city. One of the downsides is that, you know, there are safety risks, and you hope that everyone will follow safety.
Just like driving a car or a truck or riding a bicycle.
Yes.
But just a new piece of technology. Well, Michelle Mercer, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll keep an eye on this, because it's fascinating the way the technology works, but also the fact that who would ever think that you could just drop off a scooter anywhere in town and just leave it, and someone else will pick it up and ride. So,
yes.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're watching Eyewitness News at 9. We'll be right back.